well as labelling parts of a cell, we need to know about the functions of each of the cell organelles. Organelles is a term I'll describe later in the video. We'll be focusing in on eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells are those that contain a true nucleus. In other words, the genetic material is surrounded by a membrane. It's inside a nucleus. Bacteria don't have this. So eukaryotic cells are what we call plant and animal cells. So we'll be comparing the difference between the two. Animal and plant cells have a cell membrane. The cell membrane controls what goes in and out of a cell, such as oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. We'll be looking at how that happens in another chapter. Some large molecules have to go through protein channels, which are the purple images you see in front of you now. Smaller molecules can sometimes pass straight through the membrane. Plant cells also have a cell wall. It's made of cellulose and a very strong material that helps to keep the plant cell rigid and gives it structure. We also know cellulose as fibre. So the plant cells have this cellulose which gives it a nice regular structure, as you can see in the picture now. Also helps the cells to stop from bursting when lots of water moves in the process called osmosis. The nucleus, which is a characteristic of all eukaryotic cells, is where we find the stored genetic material, the DNA. Again, we'll look at DNA in another topic. Here you can see nuclei, and this one in the middle is dividing. The little red bits you see are the chromosomes that DNA makes up, shown by the arrow right now. Some plant cells have chloroplasts, not all. Root cells don't, they're underground, so they can't photosynthesize. These cells are generally coloured green because of the pigment chlorophyll that are inside the chloroplast, and you can see lots of chloroplasts here which are moving around inside the cytoplasm of the cell. So they're not fixed, they can move around throughout the day and maximise how much sunlight that they can absorb to make carbohydrates such as glucose. Both types of cell have mitochondria. These are referred to as the powerhouses of the cell. This is where aerobic respiration takes place and energy is released. We don't say energy is produced, we say energy is released. And mitochondria have a large membrane inside them called an inner membrane, which gives it a massive surface area to carry out aerobic respiration and generate as much or release as much as energy as possible. Plant cells also have a cell vacuole, sometimes found in animal cells, but generally associate these with plants. They contain cell sap that help to give a plant structural support. Here you can see a mimosa plant that is closing up its leaves. This is because water is rapidly moving out of its cell vacuole and then it makes the leaves shut tight. Ribosomes, one of the last organelles we need to know about. These are very, very small. We can't see these with a light microscope. This is where proteins are made in something which is called protein synthesis. Synthesis means to make something. Proteins are made of amino acids. So what the ribosomes do is that they take the message from DNA, something called RNA, and they start putting the amino acids in place. This is something you'll look at in another chapter, how the genetic code from the DNA is converted into making proteins. And finally, we have cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is really where all the chemical reactions inside the cell takes place. And there's loads and loads of enzymes in there to carry out these chemical reactions. And again, an image of cytoplasm where all the chloroplasts are moving around inside. So what you need to be able to do is to make a table of all the organelles. Now I said I'll explain what organelles mean. Organelle is just a word to describe the cell parts. They're not organs, but they are parts of a cell. So we can't call them organs. They look like little mini organs, so we call them organelles. So for example, nucleus is an organelle. Cell membrane is an organelle. So we'll speed this up a bit now. And for each organelle, you should be able to write about its function. So for the nucleus, you can say things like it contains the genetic information, it stores the DNA. for the cell membrane. It controls substances will go in and out of the cell. For example, gaseous exchange. We'll speed up the rest of the functions. And finish off with the function of mitochondria, which is to release energy from the process of aerobic respiration.